The Memphis Grizzlies sure have embarrassed themselves over the past few years. From Jaren Jackson's tweet about strength in numbers, to Dylan Brooks' dynasty talks, to Ja Morant's fine in the West comments, followed by the recent first-round exit, they've sure turned themselves into somewhat of a laughingstock in the NBA. After them is probably Devin Booker. As skilled as he is, as deadly as he is, his name will forever be linked to that Game 7 beatdown after trash-talking Luka. The Luka special will never be forgotten. After him, probably Dennis Schrader, the flop master. Time and time again, the man just flops around like a shacked-in-a-fool champion. But regardless of how embarrassing these acts are, one man rises above the rest of them. One man sees all this embarrassing stuff going on and says to everyone, "Hold my beer." The one man is this guy. Y'all probably have already heard and seen the initial story between Markieff and Jokic, but if y'all haven't, let me give you the Cliff Notes summary of what happened. Back in November of 2021, the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat matched up for a game of basketball, and unfortunately for the South Beach team, that night belonged to Jokic and the gang. I mean, in the fourth quarter, with just under 3 to go, the Nuggets were sitting on a comfortable 17-point lead. And according to ESPN, the Nuggets at that time had a 99.9% chance of winning the game. Well, Markieff, like the rest of us, already knew his team had lost, but he decided to try and get some sort of a moral victory. You see, as the Joker was bringing the ball up the floor, Markieff wanted to do a take foul on Jokic to prevent the fast break. Not like that would have affected the outcome anyway. But in addition to the foul, he gave a little extra. What I mean is, if you look closely, he literally elbows Jokic's midsection for no reason. And let me tell you guys, that hurts. I know Jokic is the bigger guy, but Markieff is still the 6'9", 245-pound athlete, and an elbow like that would hurt anyone. Then, to make matters worse, Morris just turned around like it was nothing. He literally turned around immediately after elbowing someone. Well, not surprisingly, Jokic didn't like that and returned the favor. The end result was Markieff lying on the ground in a fetal position. I could explain the situation more and about who's right and who's wrong, but I think Shaquille O'Neal nailed it on the spot when he said,
"Did he not?
Get him, Shaq.
Ernie, did he not?"
Ernie, it's called retaliation. And
Yes, it is.
First of all, when you hit me, don't turn around. Don't turn around, Brad Miller, because I'm swinging. Do not turn around. You're either going to take it in the front or take it in the back. As a big guy, when a little guy hits you, you got to touch him on back. I have no problem with what the Joker did.
Anyway, after that, Jokic was ejected out of the game, and then after that, key members of the Miami Heat team were apparently waiting outside the Nuggets locker room looking for more smoke. Well, as we all know, it was just a fake tough guy moment, and nothing was going to happen. I mean, after the Malice in the Palace incident, I'm pretty sure all NBA players understand the severity of what'll happen if a brawl occurred, and I'm sure that they'd all rather continue to cash in million-dollar checks than try their hands in mixed martial arts. Anyway, after that came a huge online Twitter war between Markieff and his brother Marcus against the Jokic brothers. Markieff called Jokic a fat boy, and Marcus pretty much called Jokic a coward who, quote-unquote, waited until his brother turned his back. I can't believe Marcus said that. Like, did he even watch the clip? His brother Markieff pretty much turned his back immediately. Anyway, the war of words went on for a bit longer and then stopped because apparently the mother of the Morris brothers asked them to stop. That was pretty much the end of the story. Nothing was really going to happen after that, or so I thought. You see, recently on a podcast with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, the whole story resurfaced, and this is what Markieff had to say on the matter.
Took a sucker shot. It's like when you get they call it snuck.
In the club.
Catch you,
in
he
the
snuck
club.
me, yeah. It was a sucker shot. Me gonna get his though.
Sheesh, guys. It's been like, what, almost 2 years since the incident, and Markieff is still going at it? And if I'm not mistaken, did he just threaten Nikola Jokic? Is this man seriously trying to start a war with the Jokic brothers? Or was he just trying to act tough? Either way, it was pretty embarrassing if you asked me. He should have just manned up and said it was all in the past or something. Oh, and before I forget, Matt Barnes needs to be a better podcaster and should have called Markieff out because he literally just pretended that he didn't know what happened and just went along with Markieff's words like it was the gospel or something.
You had an incident with Jokic. What did you do? You hit him on the screen, or you
Fouled him.
you fouled? You took a foul on him.
Like, come on, guys. There's no way Barnes didn't see what we saw. Like, how could he sit there and say something like this?
You wasn't trying to do it.
Yeah,
It
you
wasn't
knew I
dirty
was
at all.
kept his-
You wasn't trying to do it.
Yeah,
It
you
wasn't
knew I
dirty
was
at all.
kept his-
You wasn't trying to do it.
Yeah,
It wasn't
you knew I
dirty
was
at
kept
all.
his-
Anyway, to make matters worse, his brother Marcus, who was also on the podcast, had this to say.
When we played them, they was like on me. Like they
The
knew I
wrestler?
was gonna do something to get to him. Like they was on me. Any like little step I took, they was like watching me. I'm just watching. I'm like, damn, they is on me. So I said, I can't get him. I'm gonna get one of your teammates. Then we're gonna have to take it like that.
Who'd you get?
Austin Rivers.
Honestly, I'm laughing my ass off because that's simultaneously one of the funniest and lowest things I've heard in a long time. If I had to speak frankly, I'm not a huge fan of Austin Rivers for many different reasons, but that's a different story for a different day. The fact of the matter is, Marcus Morris targeted Austin Rivers to get back at Jokic. It doesn't get any funnier than that because Austin isn't exactly a Nuggets guy. I mean, throughout his career, he's played on 7 teams in 10 years? He's the definition of a journeyman. I'm not even sure if he and Jokic are really good friends or not, so Jokic probably didn't even care. Anyway, that's why it's funny. Then here's the reason why it's low. Marcus Morris is 6'9", 225 pounds, while Austin Rivers is 6'4" and 200 pounds. Marcus Morris literally went after the smallest guy on the court at the time, and not only that, but someone who he felt wouldn't really retaliate. It doesn't really get any lower than that. I mean, he could have gone after someone like Aaron Gordon, who's about the same size as him, but no, he had to pick the smallest guy on the court. That's literally the definition of a schoolyard bully, someone who only goes after the easy targets. Is it just me, or is that pretty embarrassing? And to make things even worse, when he explained the whole thing, he was talking as if he was a tough guy. But if you think that's everything Marcus has done in his career as a bully, it's not. There's a lot more. Like back in 2020, for example. At that time, Luka Doncic was just a young 21-year-old second-year player in the NBA. He was beginning to make a name for himself, but people were still discounting him, and at that time, for someone like Marcus, he was an easy target. Well, in a matchup between the two of them in the playoffs, Marcus went after him.
Team shooting the ball well. 60% for the Clippers, 50% now for the Mavericks. Oh, a hard foul.
No, Mr. Commentator, that wasn't a hard foul. That was a cheap shot. I mean, the ref already blew the whistle 3 times, the play was dead, and yet he still decided to whack Luka across the head. These Morris brothers, I tell ya. At some point, with what they're doing on the court and how they're justifying it, they're really just embarrassing themselves.